In this video series, you're going to learn how you can make money blogging. Now, before we get into the exact methods, I want to talk about what you must have to make a successful blogging business. First of all, you're going to need a good layout. A layout that is easy for people to get around on and find what you're trying to show them. You need good content that is constantly updated. That's self-explanatory. People will come to your blog if they feel that you have decent content that they want to read. Have a decent amount of traffic. And that goes without saying. If you get a decent amount of traffic, you will make some money. If you don't get any traffic, of course, you're not going to. And we're going to go over traffic methods in this video series. And the other thing you need is a good monetization strategy. There are a couple things that you can do on a blog to make a decent amount of money without having to work too hard at it. Okay, so those are the things we need to talk about in this video series. Okay, the first thing we're going to need to do is install our blog. And the system we're going to use for blogging is WordPress. The reason we're going to use WordPress is that it has so many things that people have created for you that you can use that it makes your job easier, and they're called plugins. And what will happen is we'll be able to make our blog search engine friendly as well as semi-automate the process of bringing in content. So you should have a niche in mind already. It doesn't matter what niche you're going to target. It should be something that you know something about or are passionate about. That always helps when you're trying to write your own articles. The other thing you can do is find out what's popular just by doing a search on the Google keyword tool for some ideas and see what kind of search traffic you're getting. We're not going to go too much into niche research. We're going to go into the mechanics of creating a blog that will get good traffic and make you good money no matter what niche you target. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is go to wordpress.org and download the newest version of WordPress. So just click on download WordPress and then download the most current version. At this time it's 2.85, but it doesn't really matter what version you're using. So just go ahead and download it. Just click here and download it to your computer. Okay, once you have it downloaded, what you want to do is you want to unzip the files in the WordPress zip folder here. So all you have to do is click on it and use the built-in unzip tool in Windows, or what you can do is you can download a free one called 7-Zip. Just do a search on 7-Zip and you can download it. And then if you right click, you can go here's 7-Zip and extract files. So you can use either one. Then we'll just click OK and that'll extract all the files for us. We now have an extracted directory. In there we have the WordPress directory, and within there we have all the WordPress files. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to upload all that to our server. Now of course you're going to need a domain name and hosting. There are many places where you can get domain names and hosting, and I've listed some in the resources document. Now once you have that all set up, you can upload your files. Now depending on what kind of domain name you bought, whether you bought a domain name with a specific use for your niche or whether you bought what I call a general purpose domain name, will depend on where you're going to upload WordPress. Now what I mean by those are a general purpose domain name is a domain name that you can use in any niche. It might be something like thebestinfoon.com, and then what you can do is in folders put your niche. So we have thebestinfoon.com and then slash, and if we're going to do dog training, we do /dog training. So you can put as many blogs as you want on one domain name if you do it that way. Now the other thing you can do is buy a specific domain name for your niche. So if we were doing dog training, we might have dogtraining.com. Now you're not likely to find that one, but you get the idea. You find one that fits in your niche. I'm going to use a general purpose domain name for our purposes here. Now in order to do this, you're going to need to download an FTP client if you don't already have one. And there's one called FileZilla that you can download for free. And you can use that to upload your files to your server. And this is what FileZilla looks like. On your left side, you can navigate to the file you want to upload or the folder. And on your right side is going to be where your server is. Now what you can do is you can just take the information that your hosting provider gave you to sign into your server. So you have your host, which is going to be your domain name, and then they will have assigned you a username and password for FTP or for your cPanel, and you can just put those in here and click Quick Connect, and it'll connect up for you. It also has a site manager. If you click File and Site Manager, it brings up the site manager, and in here you can store all your domain names. Just click on New Site and then fill out what you want in here. Okay, so I'm going to connect to my domain here. And then I need to go to the directory where my web documents have to preside. Your hosting provider will tell you this, and on this particular hosting provider it has to be in public_HTML. It may be htdocs or something else. It might be in the root directory. Your hosting provider is going to tell you that. So we'll go in here, just double click, and then we're going to create a directory. So if I right click here and create a directory, and then I'm going to call it what my niche is going to be. And in this case I'm going to do one on making candy. So making candy. So what I want to do is make sure that I have my main niche name within my domain. That's very important. So if your niche is making candy like mine is, that's what you need to have in your domain. If it was dog training, that's what you need to have in your domain somewhere. So that's what we're doing here. Using making candy. We'll click on that, and then we'll find our making candy directory in here. Double click on that. And then we can upload our WordPress files. So we go inside here, inside the WordPress directory, and then we have to select all these files. So all you have to do is click Control and then hold that down and then click the A button, and it will select everything. And now we right click our mouse and click Upload. And that'll upload all the WordPress files for us. Now this is going to take a few minutes because there are a number of files there. Okay, so now our queue is empty and everything is uploaded. Now all we have to do is put the URL to our blog in our browser and hit the enter key, and that'll bring up the install wizard. So in this case it is thebestinfoon.info, which is my domain name, /making candy. So let's go key that in. Okay, and here it is here. So what we do, it tells us we need to create a configuration file. Now it'll try and do this for us, but as you see, it can't write to the directory. So what we have to do is temporarily change the permission of our directory. So let's go back. And then let's go back to our FTP client here. And then what we want to do is make our making candy directory writable temporarily. So let's go back to the directory before it. Find making candy. And we'll right click, do a file attributes, and then we need to make this 777, which is all the boxes clicked. Click OK. And now we can go back and create a configuration file. Okay, here it tells us we're going to need a database, and what we need to do is go and create one. And this isn't as difficult as it sounds. All we have to do is go to our cPanel or to whatever tool your host gives you that allows you to do that. So we'll sign into the cPanel here, and then we'll go create a database. So just go to MySQL databases in cPanel, and then we just create a database. So just as you can see, there's a bunch of them in here already, but we'll just call this Candy. Click Create Database. We'll go back. Now we have to create a username and password to access a database. So we'll call this Candy again, and then give a password here you can remember. We'll just go with password. And then we create our username. Just click here and then go back. Then you have to attach the username to the password, and to do that you just pick them out of the drop down list here. So they happen to be sitting right on the top here. Now you'll notice that there are some characters appended to the front here on both the database and the username, and that's just to identify it as belonging to this particular hosting account. So just add user to database after you've picked them both. Make sure all privileges are checked, and add user to database. Okay, your database is now ready to go. So all we have to do now, go back to WordPress and let's continue here. We just put our database name, username, and password in here. So we go back here. Our database name and username are the same here. This is our database name. We'll copy that whole string. This is our username. They happen to be the same, so we can just put them both in here. Database name, username. Password goes in here. And then localhost, that's the name of our host, and that's usually going to be right the way it is. If you just roll down here, you'll see that we have access host as localhost, so that's correct. 99% of the time that's correct. And then a table prefix, we can leave that as it is unless you're going to install multiple WordPress blogs in one database. If you're going to do that, you're going to need to change that for any blogs that you create after the first one. The first one can be WP, but if you're going to create more after that, you're going to have to change these characters at the front. Okay, and then we'll run the install. Okay, here we can give it a preliminary title. Okay, so here I put Making Candy the Fun and Easy Way. Notice that I have my main niche in the title. So make sure you do that as well. So you have it in your title, you have it in your domain name or in your subdomain name, and then you put your email in here. And make sure you got to allow my blog to appear in search engines. You're going to want that, and then click Install WordPress. Okay, here it gives you your username, and here is a temporary password. Make sure you copy that so you can sign in, and then you can change it after you log in the first time. So we'll click at Login, then we'll click Admin, and we'll put our password in here and log in. That password was also emailed to the email address that you entered there. That way, if you forgot to copy it down, at least it'll email it to you. Now what you want to do is change your password. It's warning you about that. So we'll just go and we'll give it a new password down here and update our profile. Okay, and it is now changed and our blog is installed. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to go change the permission back on our folder here. So Making Candy was our directory. Let's change that back to 755. 755. Click OK. That'll protect our directory, make sure nobody can get in there and mess around. Okay, so now our blog is installed. All we have to do now is start adding the plugins and theme that we need. And we'll do that in the next video. Now we need to find a theme that's appropriate for our new blog. Now one place you can go is go to wordpress.org and then go to Extend, and then you can go to Themes directory. And here it gives you a huge list of themes that you can use. You'll see the most popular on the right over here, and you'll see the newest themes and recently updated. You can also go and do a search. Okay, so we'll just type in here Candy and see what comes up. Okay, and then we can go through these and see if there's one we like. So to view them, all we've got to do is click on the theme name here and then click on Preview. And you can see if there's something you like in there. Now, if you don't find anything in here, you can do a Google search. So you may also try your search at Google. So if you click on that, it'll come up and it'll do a Google search for you. And this actually does a search on the site itself. Okay, so it's just another way of searching within the site using Google. Now there's one more thing you can do, and that's do a regular Google search. So just go to google.com and you can search in there. Okay, and then in here we'll put Candy WordPress theme or something like that. Just put in your keyword and WordPress theme or free WordPress theme. There's several ways you can search it. Google search and then see what you can find in here. So those are all ways that you can find themes for your blog. Okay, so I didn't really find one I liked there, so I could do a different search. Let's say chocolate, like a related term. See what we find here. Okay, so I found a decent one here. Found the website, and usually you'll have a preview and a download. So you can do a preview, see if you like it. It should be easy to read and it should have a decent layout. You don't want anything that's all cluttered or that has too much image on the header or that is too jammed together. So this looks really good. So I'm going to use this one. So all I have to do now is download it. Okay, so we'll go to download. And then we'll save it to our directory here. Okay, so here's our zip file here. Inside there are the directory, and inside that are the files. So we need to do the same thing here. We're going to unzip it, extract the files. Then we need to go back to FileZilla. We'll reconnect here. We're going to our Making Candy directory. Then we need to go to WP-content inside there. That's where all our content resides. In here we have plugins and themes, and that's where we upload these things. So we'll go into themes, and now we upload our theme into there. So we go back to our directory, and then we go inside here and we upload the directory inside the main directory that we unzipped because it's too deep. Okay, so we upload this 79 directory into here. Okay, so that's now all uploaded. Go back to our blog here, and now we go to appearance. Okay, as you see, the theme has shown up in here, so we just click on it. It'll preview it in the window for us, and we just activate it. Okay, and then we can visit the site, and here's what it looks like right now. We don't have any content on it, of course, other than the content that came with it. But that's what our blog is now going to look like as far as the theme's concerned. Now we need to install some plugins. The ones we're going to use are the All-in-One SEO Pack, the Google Sitemap Generator. These help us get traffic and do search engine optimization automatically, and WP-O-Matic to semi-automate some of our content. Now to find the plugins, all you have to do is go to wordpress.org, go to Extend, and then Plugins directory. And then you can search for them in here. Now, in the most popular, you're usually going to find the Google Sitemap and the All-in-One SEO Pack near the top. They're almost always there. So download those two. When you go click on them and go to the main site here, just click download and then save it to your directory. Okay, and then we'll go back, and then we need the All-in-One SEO Pack. Same deal here. Save. And then we want to find WP-O-Matic. Okay, here it is here. Download. Okay, and at this point we now have all of our plugins in our directory. So again, what we need to do is unzip them. So if we click on that, Just make sure there's a directory inside a directory in all of these, which there is. Okay, so all we have to do, again, is extract them. There's All-in-One SEO Pack, Google Sitemap Generator, and WP-O-Matic. Now you're probably wondering why we're using WP-O-Matic. No, we are not creating a blog that is all automated content. This is going to be a real blog, but we are going to automate some content, and I'll explain that further to you later. Okay, now let's go back to FileZilla. And let's find our files here. On this side, we need to go to the plugins directory inside WP Content. Okay, so we're in WP Content. We need to now go inside plugins. Then what we need to do is upload the All-in-One SEO Pack. Okay, so we go inside the first directory and upload the directory inside it with all of these. That's usually going to be the case. Google Sitemap Generator, same deal there. And WP-O-Matic, same deal there. So get all those uploaded. Okay, now those are all uploaded, so we go back to our blog. And now what we want to do is we want to go to plugins. And we're going to start activating these. So first we'll activate the All-in-One SEO Pack. Just click on Activate. Okay, and it says it has new options. Go to the admin page to enable and configure the plugin. Okay, so that's fine. We can go here. And then what you want to do is enable the plugin. And then you want to give it your home page title, a home page description, and home keywords. These are all for the home page. So you need to think about that. What you want to do for your title is basically make sure that your keyword is in there within the first few words. You also want your main keyword in the description and your main keyword in the meta keywords. Okay, so here's an example. Making candy the fast and easy way. I matched what my title of the blog. Down here, I just wrote a description. I made sure I had my keyword in here a couple times, as well as another keyword that describes my niche. And then down here, I used the most popular keywords for finding a site like this. Okay, now down here, you can leave all of this alone. You don't need to touch anything else in here. So we'll just update the options. And then what we want to do, we need to go back to plugins now. And we'll activate the XML sitemap. Just click Activate there. And then we'll activate WP-O-Matic. Okay, now we'll go to Settings. Well, first of all, we need to change our tagline here. So let's do that. Just put something in there that describes your site better than just another WordPress weblog. Okay, so put have fun making your own candy and chocolate. Okay, and then while we're in here, you can decide if you want people to be able to register or not. That's entirely up to you. Set your time zone here. And that's really all you need to do. So save the changes there. And now we need to go back and change our plugins here. So first we'll go into XML sitemap. Now what you need to do here, you need to go back into the FTP program. You need to go to the directory where your blog resides. So in my case, it's Making Candy. And now what we need to do is we need to create a directory for the sitemap. So we do a create directory and just call it sitemap. And then find sitemap, right click on it, go to File Attributes, and then put 777 in here. Now the reason we're doing this is because the directory that the sitemap files are in has to be writable. And if you don't do it this way, you have to leave your whole blog directory open as writable, and you don't want to do that. So we created one called sitemap. We'll go back here, and what we'll do is we'll roll down to the location of your sitemap files. What you want to do here is click custom location, and then right before you see sitemap.xml, you got to insert the directory. So we call it sitemap/sitemap.xml. Okay, so when you're done, it should have your URL in it, sitemap that you just added /sitemap.xml. So basically all you did was add a sitemap and a slash in there in front of that. Okay, and then you got to do the same thing here. So after that slash, type in sitemap and put another slash in there. Okay, so that's what you're trying to do there. Down here, you want to include your categories, include your archives, and include your tag pages. Okay, and then that's really all we need to do here. Just update the options. And then what we want to do, we're going to want to build the sitemap. We'll wait till we get our first content in there before we do that. We don't really want to build a sitemap with the content that's in there right now. Okay, so our plugins are all installed. We have WP-O-Matic here, but we're not going to actually install this yet. We're not quite ready for that. We're going to set this up when we get to that point. Okay, so that is it for installing plugins. In the next video, we'll go over a little bit more of the blog setup. Okay, now before we can start putting content on our blog, there are several things we need to do to get it ready to go. First thing you're going to want to do is we're going to want to remove all the content that's on it. If we look at this blog right now, you'll see that it has just the example posts on it and comments. So what we're going to do is we'll go back to admin here, go to posts, and then we will just delete the post that's here. Same thing with pages. Find the pages tab, delete the page. Okay, so that gets rid of the content that's on there. Now the next thing we should do is set up our categories. So let's go back to posts again. And if we go to categories, we can set up the categories we want. Okay, so the categories we're going to use for starters are videos. And then we'll add that one. And articles. Now we can have further definitions below these. So under articles, I'm also going to have recipes, since I'm making candy. So we come down here to category parent and we go to articles. So you can set up your tree however you like it here. So I'm going to start with these. We have recipes and we have videos. And I think that's all we need for this particular blog. So what we're going to have is we're going to have video content and we're going to have written content as part of our blog. This is what's going to keep people coming back. Okay, then the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go to settings and set a couple things up in here. Okay, we already did this main page here. Now let's go to writing. Okay, now in here, what we can do is add to the update services. These are the pinging services that will be notified anytime a post is made to our blog. We're going to have automatic postings and manual postings, so it's important that we update this list. I've given you a large list of ping services that you can open up and paste them in here. Okay, so Here's the list. So all you do is just copy this whole list. And then we just paste it down here. So paste over top of the one that's in there because it's already in the list. And save those changes. Okay, next we need to go to reading. Okay, and then if you want your article feed to be full text or summary, what this is for is if people subscribe to your blog by an RSS feed and read it with an RSS reader, you can determine whether they're going to be able to get full text or summary text here. So that's up to you. It's actually proven that full text will actually get you more traffic to your blog, believe it or not. You would think that summary might because they'd only be able to read a snippet, but that just tends to annoy people. But it's up to you. You set that either way you want. And here we have the number of blog pages that can show at most on one page. And the syndicated feed, how many posts it shows on there for the most recent post. Okay, so save any changes you make there. Discussion, this is where you can determine if you're going to allow comments. Okay, I suggest that you uncheck the first one at least. I usually uncheck the first two. Now, here you can determine if you want people to be able to comment. If you don't, uncheck this one. If you do, leave it checked. And then down here, you can determine how you want this to work. And you can set up how you want the comments to appear, whether you want them to be moderated or just to appear on your site. I suggest that you have them held from moderation. That way you can be sure that if somebody's just trying to spam your blog, that you can catch it and not have to worry about it getting up there if you don't want it. Okay, so I always check these four here if I'm going to allow somebody to post. Now down here, you can automatically hold things in moderation depending on words that are in the comment, and down here is the same thing, but you can actually blacklist them for having the same words in there. And down here we can have avatars if we want, and you can set them up the way you want them there. Okay, so save any changes you made there. Okay, now privacy, make sure that it is visible to everyone. So if it's not set to that, make sure that you set it that way. I skipped past media because there's nothing we really need to worry about in here. You can take the defaults, which resizes the thumbnails to 150 by 150, and it gives a medium size for the same pictures and a large size. So if you want to change that, you can, but the defaults work fine. Permalinks, this is very important. What this will do is it will allow you to customize the way your URL looks, and it shows you a good example in here. Normally your URL on a page will look like this at the end. I have a question mark, P equals, and the page number. Whereas if you use the custom structure that I'm going to show you, what will happen is it'll have the title in the URL, so you get a keyword-rich URL, and this really helps in the search engine listings. Okay, so check on custom structure and then paste in the following term, and you'll see this term in the resources document. Okay, so it's category and post name. So we set up a video category, so our videos are going to go in there, so we'd have our URL / videos / the name of the video post, which is the title. Okay, and we save changes there. Okay, now you'll notice that some code appeared down here. We actually have to go and change our .htaccess file. So copy all of this. Now what we're going to need to do is go into our cPanel and edit the htaccess file. Or what we can do is we can use our FTP program and download one if it's already there, modify it and re-upload it, or we can create one on our own computer and then we can upload it using FTP, whichever is easier. Okay, so here's Making Candy, and there is no .htaccess file in here. It would be right at the beginning of the file, so we don't even have one. So what we can do is we can just open a notepad session like this, paste our content in there, then we can save this to our directory and we'll just call it htaccess. Now if we already had a .htaccess on the site, we would have to download it and then modify it and re-upload it, but there isn't one there right now. Okay, so we can close this. Now let's go find it on our local side here. There's our htaccess.txt. So let's upload that. And then we need to rename it. So just rename it. Get rid of this .txt off the end and put a dot at the front of it. And now we have a .htaccess file. Now, let's say that when we came into FTP, we saw that there was already a .htaccess here like we see now. What we could do is download it. Just right click on it, download it to our computer, and then we can go into our folder here and find .htaccess. There it is there. We can open that with, and WordPad's fine. Okay, and then you would make the change in here and save it, and then re-upload it. It's as simple as that. So basically just download it, add this code to the one that's already there, save it, and re-upload it over top of the one that was there. Okay, so now you would do this and upload it. It would tell you it already exists, and you would let it overwrite. And you would have your .htaccess file. Okay, that allows everything to work properly as far as the permalinks are concerned. Next, miscellaneous. And there's really nothing you have to set in here. This just determines where our uploads go to on our blog. Or you can give a full URL path, but you can just take the defaults here. Okay, we've already done all-in-one SEO and WP-O-Matic. Will be done when we start adding content. XML sitemap we've done. So the next thing we need to do is go to appearance and set a couple things here. Let's go to appearance. And then let's go to widgets. And widgets simply determine what content is on the sidebar. Okay, and now on this particular theme I have 4 sidebars. Let's go have a look at the site here. Okay, this is one sidebar, and I'll remember there's content that's supposed to be here, but we deleted it. This sidebar is over here. So that's sidebar 1. And then we have 2, 3, and 4. So this is what it looks like by default, but by setting widgets we can change that. Okay, so really the only thing we're going to be showing on our sidebar will be our categories. So we'll move to categories. Okay, so this will show, in our case, videos and articles with recipes underneath it as we posted them. So that's all that's going to be in this category tree. Now, I suggest that you show the hierarchy here, like that. You can show the post counts if you want as well. Okay, so save that. And then you can close it, so it just collapses like that. Okay, the next thing we're going to want to show is the most recent posts. Okay, so grab a hold of that one. And drag it up into this space as well. And then you can set the number of recent posts you want to show there, up to 15 on this particular theme. We'll save that and close. You're also going to want a search on here. Now you can determine where you want that on your sidebars. I'm not actually going to use sidebar 2, 3, and 4 on this theme. I'm going to just leave it as it is. So I'm going to put my search bar actually in this block. Okay, and then I'm going to move it up actually to the top. If you're allowing comments, you will want to put the comments in here as well. If you're not going to allow comments, then there's no need. Okay, so put the comments in there. And you can set how many you're going to show. We'll save it and we'll close. Okay, so our blog is all set up the way we want it now. In the next video, we're going to go over monetization and content.